Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking closely at a pretty significant moment when President Trump claimed during a White House meeting that white farmers in South Africa faced, well, genocide.
Yeah, that definitely caused a stir.
Yeah.
We've got a news analysis covering the event and, importantly, the South African response.
Exactly. Our goal here is to really understand how President Cyril Ramaphosa and his team handled these frankly, explosive accusations, focusing on their composure and use of facts.
There's a fascinating case study in high-stakes diplomacy. The analysis details Trump's statements, land seizures, persecution, even genocide.
Right.
And he mentioned relying on media reports, alleged footage of grave sites.
Yeah.
It immediately created international tension.
You can imagine. And into the steps President Ramaphosa, what really jumps out is just how calm he remained. He flatly rejected the genocide claim. His words were clear. There is no genocide in South Africa. But then he added context, didn't he?
He did. He acknowledged that, yes, violent crime is a serious problem, a huge issue. But crucially, he framed it as affecting all South Africans, regardless of race.
That's such an important distinction. Not dismissing the violence, but reframing it away from targeted persecution.
Precisely. And what's really interesting is the support he got, especially, from his own Minister of Agriculture.
Yes. Tell us about that, because the analysis highlights this as quite significant.
Well, the minister is himself a white South African, and importantly, from an opposition party.
Right.
And he publicly backed Ramaphosa. The report says he explained that cooperating, working with the government, was actually a way to stop extremist voices like maybe those behind that video Trump saw from getting traction.
So a real message of national unity there, coming from an unexpected place, perhaps?
Definitely. And you have to remember the setting. The report mentions Trump interrupting, bringing up the grave sites again, even attacking reporters.
Yeah, that adds another layer of pressure.
Absolutely. But Ramaphosa and his team, they stayed focused. The strategy seems to have been acknowledge the concern, okay, but pivot back to the facts, back to shared goals, investment, trade, fighting crime generally.
And they even invited dialogue, right, despite everything.
They did, which is quite remarkable under the circumstances.
It really throws the leadership styles into sharp contrast, doesn't it? Trump's confrontational approach versus Ramaphosa's diplomatic steadiness.
A very stark difference. And the analysis also touches on Trump's treatment of the press during that meeting.
Ah, yes, the journalist asking about something unrelated.
Exactly, about a Qatari jet. Trump apparently called the reporter a disgrace, tried to shut down questions. It created a pretty hostile environment.
Yet the South African delegation kept their composure through all of that, too.
They did, maintained respect, according to the report.
So, looking back at the outcome, what does the analysis suggest the delegation achieved?
Well, it seems they managed to push back effectively against a really damaging narrative. And they did it without getting drawn into, anger or insults.
Just sticking to the facts.
Right. Fact-based responses that upheld the dignity of their office. The analysis presents it as a kind of model for engagement based on democratic values and respect.
It really drives home that leadership isn't just what you say.
Not at all. It's how you say it. That steadiness, that grace under pressure, it sends its own powerful message on the world stage. Ramaphosa and his team really demonstrated that.
So to sum it up, South Africa faced these incredibly serious allegations and countered with a measured, evidence-based response.
Exactly. Which leads us, and you listening, with something to think about.
Okay.
In today's world, often full of, let's say, inflammatory rhetoric, what does this episode tell us about the actual power of calm, fact-based communication, especially in international relations?
And what might it suggest about what truly effective leadership looks like in our, very polarized global landscape?
Something to consider.